Why is the Vatican visiting this evangelical church? Founder and pastor of Saddleback, Rick Warren, joins us for part 2 of our exclusive interview. The World Over Live begins right now.
Now, once again, Raymond Arroyo.
Welcome back to The World Over Live. Following the death of his son, Rick Warren has focused part of his ministry on mental health, leading to a collaboration with the Catholic Diocese of Orange County, as we reported last week. In the second part of our exclusive interview, Warren discusses the origins of his best-selling book, The Purpose-Driven Life, a recent visit by a Vatican delegation, and the channel he finds himself watching more than any other. Here's my conversation with Rick Warren. The Purpose-Driven Life is the best-selling book in the world. 36 million plus copies. It's been translated more than any book except the Bible. What is the key to that success? Why were so many people touched by that book and continue to be?
You know, Ray, there's not a single new thought in Purpose-Driven Life that hadn't been said for 2,000 years. I just said it in a fresh way. I said it in a simple way. When I was writing Purpose-Driven Life, it took me 7 months, 12 hours a day. I'd get up at 4:30 in the morning. I'd go to a little study, start at 5 a.m. I was fasting till noon, and I would light some candles, and I would start writing and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite. And one of the things I did before I wrote the book was I asked the question, how do you write a book that lasts 500 years? For instance, Imitation of Christ by Thomas Kempis.
Right.
Practicing the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence. Okay, the Desert Fathers, St. John of the Cross, Teresa of Avila. All of these great classic devotional works. And one of them, I just realized that in order to be timeless, you have to be eternal.
What is your secret to reaching people every day, every week, not only in your writing, but when you speak to them? What is it? What is this communication gift, if you will, if you could decode it? Because a lot of preachers would like to know.
Well, Jesus said, I'll make you fishers of men. And I like this fishing motif. And I think the first thing is you have to go where the fish are. Okay, they're not in church. You got to go into the marketplace. You got to learn to think like a fish. You've got to know what they like to eat. You've got to drop the bait at the right level. You use all kinds of, Paul says, I become all things to all men that I'm in some way save some. So he say, when I'm with Jews, I become like a Jew to reach Jews. When I'm with Gentiles, I become like Gentile to reach Gentiles. Today he'd say, when I'm in California, I become a Californian to reach Californians.
I should have left the tie at home. Is that what you're saying, Rick?
Yeah, right. Well, and the main thing is love always reaches people. Authenticity, humility. Pope Francis is the perfect example of this. He is doing everything right. You see, people will listen to what we say if they like what they see. And as our new Pope, he was very, very symbolic in, you know, his first Mass with people of AIDS, his kissing of the disformed man, his loving the children, this authenticity, this humility, the caring for the poor. This is what the whole world expects us Christians to do. And when they go, oh, that's what a Christian does. In fact, there was a headline here in Orange County, and I love the headline. I saved it. It said, if you love Pope Francis, you'll love Jesus.
That was the headline?
That was the headline.
Oh.
It was the headline. I saved it. I showed it to a group of priests I was speaking to a while back.
I love that. I want to they all say, you know, Rick Warren is truly non-denominational. He's focused on Christ exclusively.
If you love Jesus, we're on the same team.
But this is an anomaly in many areas of Christianity.
For many people,
But what is the obstacle, do you think? Keeping Christians apart and away from that unity that Christ prayed for, that John Paul II was such a vocal, well, all the recent popes.
Absolutely.
Have
every one of them.
Done this outreach.
Every
we
one
need
of
to be
them.
one.
Exactly.
What is keeping these communities apart, and what do you think is bringing them together?
Well, I think we need to go back to the words of St. Augustine. You know, in the essentials, You know, we have unity.
Right.
In the non-essentials, we have liberty.
Diversity, yeah.
And in all things, we show charity. And I think this is really true. Now, I think as the world becomes increasingly, particularly the Western culture, more secular, more anti-Christian, we're seeing, for instance, religious liberties being threatened and things like that. It is really incumbent on all Christians of every brand and stripe that we join together on the things that we share in common. And when I say, do you believe in the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit? Yes. Do you believe Jesus Christ rose? Yes. Do you believe he died on the cross? Yes. Do you believe in hell and heaven? Yes. Do you believe the Bible's God's word? Yes. Then we're on the same team. We might not agree on all of the minors, but we are Christians. And here's the thing. People don't realize how big the church really is. It's the largest organization on planet Earth. We don't have anything to apologize for. There's 600 million Buddhists in the world. There are 800 million Hindus in the world. There are about 1.5 billion Muslims, but there are 2.3 billion Christians who would say, I believe Jesus is who he claimed to be, the Son of God. That means 1 out of every 3 people on this planet. The church is bigger than China.
Do you think events like this, moments like this, are actually sources of unity and moments of unity, particularly for Catholics and evangelicals?
Sure. Well, obviously, we have so much in common in protecting our religious rights and really the religious rights of other people who we disagree with on beliefs and behaviors. Muslims, for instance, don't drink alcohol. If all of a sudden they made a law that said every Muslim restaurant has to serve alcohol, I would be there protesting with that. If they made a law that said every Jewish deli in New York City has to sell pork,
right,
I'm going to be there protesting. I don't have a problem with pork, but I'm going to protest that. If they make a law that says every Catholic school has to provide contraceptives, if you're morally convinced you shouldn't have contraceptives, I stand with you, firm with you on your belief on that, because you have a right to train your children the way you want to.
The Vatican recently sent a delegation here to Saddleback, the Pontifical Council, the Academy for Life.
The Academy for Life, exactly.
Tell me what they discovered and why did they come? This was a sizable group.
It was. There were about 30 bishops from Europe. One of the men who had been actually trained and mentored by Jean Vanier, and which is an interesting thing because we have a retreat center here, and my spiritual director, who grew up at Saddleback, actually went and trained under John Vanier too. So I'm very excited about that. But they were talking about the new evangelization, and Saddleback has been very effective in reaching secular mindset. Our church is 33 years old. Easter 2014, Saddleback is our 34th anniversary. And in 34 years, we've baptized 38,000 adults. Now, these are adult converts, people of no religious background, people who say, I was nothing before I came to Saddleback. So we figured out a way to reach that mindset, and I fully support the Catholic Church's new evangelization, which basically says we've got to re-evangelize people who are Christian in name, but not in heart.
Tell me about the little breather you take in the day when you watch television, which surprised me. When we first met, you came up to me and said, hey, Raymond, and I said, I can't believe you watch this
You know what? I'm an avid fan of EWTN. I make no bones about it. I probably watch it more than any Christian channel because I happen to like. Well, you know what? Because you have more shows that relate to history. And if you don't understand the roots of our faith, that God has been working for 2,000 years, regardless of what brand of believer you are, God has been working for 2,000 years in his church. And if you don't have those roots, you're like the cut flower syndrome, or you're a tumbleweed. One of my favorite shows, which you repeat often, is the Chaplain of Divine Mercy.
Really?
Which I love, and when I've had a very stressful day, I'll come home, I've got it taped, and Kay and I will both listen, we'll put it on and just sit back, relax, worship, And in that time of reflection, meditation, quietness, I find myself renewed and restored. So thank you for continuing to replay the Chaplet of Divine Mercy.
Thank Mother Angelica.
Thank you, Mother Angelica.
When I walked into your office here, I was struck. You have 3 images and personal notes that confront the person walking into your office, which I have to say was a lot smaller and more humble than I ever thought. I thought we'd get this spacious, palatial office.
Yeah, I'm
it's
not
a very
much
humble
into bling.
office. And there is Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, and Billy Graham.
Right.
Why those 3? What do they give you, and what have they
Well,
given you?
the only one who's missing was Pope John Paul II. Those 4 people were the greatest influences on the 20th century, without a doubt, without a doubt. And each of them represent lessons that I've tried to learn. Mother Teresa, I had the privilege of writing the foreword to a book honoring the 100th anniversary of her birthday, and she wrote me, there's that note in there that says, be holy, for God is holy and he loves you. And Mother Teresa taught the world that the face of Jesus is seen in the poor, that we need the poor. Not only do the poor need us, we need the poor. And God has chosen, does God have favorites? Yes, he does. He loves the poor. There are over 2,000 verses on the poor in the Bible. And God says, you care about the poor, I'll care about you and your needs. So Mother Teresa taught that. Billy Graham was one of my 9 mentors. All of my mentors are now passed on in heaven, except Billy. He's 95. I went to his 95th birthday. Billy Graham taught me how to be a Christian statesman. He taught me how to relate to people of different faiths, relate to world leaders. And he also taught me about how to maintain moral integrity. And the Billy Graham Association created a list of things that they said we will not do. And I copied that and expanded it 33 years ago, and everybody on my staff signs it. Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, Billy Graham each teach humility, integrity, generosity, and they teach values and being willing to suffer for your faith.
Do you find it difficult being identified as America's pastor? Is there a weight having that moniker attached to what you do day in and day out?
Well, it means nothing to me. I don't, what people want to say is really up to them. What really matters to me is the individual. And if notoriety allows me to influence people and point them to Jesus, that's what it's all about. You know, Ray, when I wrote Purpose-Driven Life, I wanted to start this book with the most counterculture statement I could possibly think of.
You found it.
and so I chose the phrase, it's not about you.
About you,
The 4-word march, it's not about you. And really, that's like a slap in the face in the me generation, where everything in our culture says, it's all about you. Okay, it's all about me, how I look, how I feel, what I want to do. It's my life, it's my body, it's my money. And when I say it's not about you, it's really about the most counterculture thing you could say. What I didn't know was how often I was going to be tested on that statement once I said it. It's not about you. And I often have to say that phrase 8 or 9 times a day. When I'm criticized unfairly, it's not about you. When I'm praised, it's not about you. When people misunderstand me, it's not about you. When people challenge me or question my motivation, it's not about you. And I have to say that I had no idea how many times God was going to test me on that the rest of my life.
Now, are you sorry you wrote it?
No. Not at all.
Thank you, Rick Warren.
Thank you, Ray, and God bless all EWTN viewers, and thank you, Mother Angelica, for having a vision, a spry little woman who said it can be done when everybody said it couldn't be done, a tower of faith.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank Pastor Rick Warren and his team at Saddleback for granting us the interview. If you missed part 1 of the interview, it's online. I've linked it on my Facebook page and on Twitter at Raymond Arroyo.